This morning I want to show my grandfather Arthur Bankston. He took 16mm film of the fishing village in the 1930s and 1940s. There's a scene there. There's a man by the name of Captain Zeke. He's hand lining for bluefish, I think, the way they were flipping so bad, or pollock, I don't know which. Definitely using a hand line, and I believe they were bluefish the way he was hauling them aboard. This is off the lighthouse. Here's a group of sporties, I guess, or people that my grandfather took. He used to take charters. These people were what we call the rich folks. They had rod and reel. They're catching pollock. In those years, there was a lot of pollock caught around the lighthouse at Montauk, and not really striped bass, mostly pollock in the fall. This is a very fancy schooner. I don't know if it's military or what, but she is sure is a beautiful boat. My grandfather must have thought the same thing, because he took quite a bit of film of it. Again, this is the 1930s in Fort Pond. There's a large yacht in the background, moored in Fort Pond.
It's amazing because you don't see that much ship traffic in Fort Pond anymore, you know?
They used to have a ferry service out of Fort Pond. There was a very large dock. That dock that's still there, that was a ferry dock. I think they ran to New London, and they might have ran to New York too. Mm-hmm. There's a green turtle, I guess, I believe it is, that my grandfather caught. In those days, when you saw a turtle, they were food. This is a three-masted ship, a cargo ship of some sort. This might have been off in the ocean, off the point. I have a crazy theory that she might have been loaded with rum. Because here's a swordfish that my grandfather caught, harpoon, and he was too big, couldn't get him in the boat, so they towed him ashore. There's another one. The other day I talked to Francis Lester, and he said that during the war he fished 3 seasons with my grandfather. One year they caught 31 swordfish. The season lasts about 2 months. This is the sea turtle was being loaded in the back of a pickup truck. I imagine they were going to ship him to New York. I don't think anybody local would have. There he goes. Pretty heavy too. It looks like he probably weighed 250, 300 pounds. In those days, sea turtles were food. They were a marketable product. I don't know whose boat that is, but they're going out sword fishing. You can see the swordfish pulpit. All boats had swordfish pulpits on. Here are these recreational people again on my grandfather's boat. Boat was named the Naomi. You can see we're just south of the lighthouse. I figure on the east side of Frisbee's is about where they were fishing. East end of Frisbee's. It's a fishing ground. There's pollock aboard the boat. You don't see no striped bass with them. There they are dressing the fish on the way back in. I don't know who these people are. This film was taken before I was born. Always the seagulls. There's my mother and my Uncle Leslie at the fishing village. She's pulling Leslie on a sled. My grandparents' home was next to the railroad dock. It was on the western end of the fishing village in Fort Pond Bay. That was my grandfather's house. Our homes were close together, of course. One thing about it didn't have much lawn to mow. It was all beach. That flat area between the railroad station and Fort Pond Bay. That was the fishing village. There's the Naomi. This is a boat that my grandfather built, and before he built the boat, he built a half model, and I have the half model.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at it.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's the half model that he made out of mahogany, and you can't see the detail. The cabin's been busted off, and I'm gonna fix it back up. It's had some hard use in the last 60 years or so, 70 years, I guess. But even the detail on the half model, he even carved a small propeller stuck in there. And from the half model, he gets the lines, and then he built the boat. And there she is.
That's a beautiful boat.
Yeah, that was his commercial fishing boat and party boat. Swordfish with it, hand line for sea bass. Took people out on charter with it, you know. And here she is hauled out on the beach at the fishing village. She had kind of a high cabin, very big front windows in the wheelhouse. That's my Uncle Leslie climbing up the side of her. He couldn't have been 2-3 years old. And he's 68 or 70 now, so that puts us about 1932, 1933, these films. These are home movies, so there's some of family, there's some of Montauk. She had a nice little mast, takeout boom to hoist the swordfish out, I imagine. There's a crow's nest up on the top where you'd sit to look for swordfish. I don't know how they haul the boat out on the beach. There's no ways or cradle there. I have no idea how they did it. I believe that's Leslie again. These are some members of my family. I really don't know who they are. I've never seen these films before until about a week ago.
I think the interesting thing, though, see the train.
Yeah,
in the
the train is right there. There's my grandfather and my grandmother, but the fishing village started right just north of the railroad tracks. You can see how close they are to the train. This must have been everybody in their Sunday best. Members of my family. I don't recognize many of them. Like I say, these were all taken before I was born. I think one is my mother. And that might be, no, I don't think that's Grandma Bankston. Here's Leslie swimming in Fort Pond. Fooling around in the water as all kids do. That never stops. Trying to read what's on his hat, but I don't. You notice the boats in Fort Pond Bay. Everybody, that was the center of activity for Montauk, and all the boats were moored to mooring poles. Very few boats tied to docks because you'd get beat up. There's a large ship moored there in the background. Navy vessels came in there during World War I and after. There's some more pictures of houses at the fishing village. I don't know which one was my grandparent. There's a bottle of booze.
Left over from the rum runners.
Left over. Well, this was during the rum running time. It wasn't left over. I mean, this was during. In the 20s, I guess, is when they were really doing, and this was towards the end of it. There's my grandfather again. Notice how they support the chimney? It's a post underneath of it. It's not cemented all the way down. A lot of these homes were built out of fish box boards. They were 5/4 pine planking and sturdy, tough stuff. Here's my grandfather's garage. This was right directly across the street from the Blue Marlin. At that time it was a Gulf. Before my time it was obviously a Gulf station. I remember it as a Shell station. Well, I stopped almost there with the, there you are, with a little more. See where the reservoir is?
Yeah, up on the top.
Up on the top.
Upper right-hand corner
Yeah,
up there.
up in the right-hand
Yeah.
corner, you see that large concrete structure? That was a reservoir owned by the Montauk Water Company. It was the water supply for Montauk, a huge concrete thing on top of that hill. And as you can see, there's a beginnings of a valley there, back of that boom rig there. The road between my grandfather's garage and Blue Marlin Restaurant ran through a valley, heading east. It headed, well, headed southeast and then east. That was what they call Flamingo Drive. All right. That's Leslie riding around on a old style bicycle. Three-wheeler, but it's a large wheels on it. There's another picture of the reservoir. The road in the back, there's the road that went up to the manor. That building is still there. It originally was Grandpa Bankston's, Arthur Bankston's garage. Now here's Leslie digging clams about where Salivar's dock is right today. This is where he was digging clams. I can tell by that Star Island in the background, and I can tell by the position of that house, and another shot a little bit wider, that that's about where he was. You can see there's no docks over there, no nothing. There was a yacht club on the other side of Star Island. That was the only dock. It was all, as I remember in the 1950s, it was all beach, as I said a couple of weeks ago. That's about where Salivar's dock is today, is where Leslie was messing around digging clams. And as I say, you could walk right across the Star Island. I don't know what this is. I don't know if my grandfather built this or not, but it's a working miniature locomotive and coal car. My grandfather was very handy, very crafty. He might very well have made it. It obviously works. Here's a cookout at the fishing village. Put up some stones and put a fire pan over top of the fire. That's the extent of the grill and the cookout situation. I don't know what he's counting there. What Leslie's doing. Looks like a car frame in the back with an engine. Here's taking a ride to the lighthouse. Grandpa put the camera on the car and headed, and this is just before you get to Deep Hollow Ranch. Coming down in that hollow by the polo field. And to go to the lighthouse, right here you turn to the southern, and the road to the lighthouse followed right along the bluffs. Just in back of the edge of the bluffs. And some of that road is still detectable today. You'll see odd pieces of it where it's still tarred. But that was the original road to get to the Montauk Lighthouse. And here they are walking down on the beach. There was some film of the fishing stands just east and south of the lighthouse, but it was overexposed. We couldn't make them out as good. Here we are back in Fort Pond Bay. Windy that day. This is the reason why everybody moored, because it gets choppy in there, and you just can't tie a boat to a dock there for any length of time. Here's the Sally O. This was Captain Nat Edwards. Let it go a little more.
Sure.
Till the box comes up. Okay, there. Now there's Captain Nat Edwards on the Sally O. He was a trap fisherman. He worked in Montauk all his life, and that's a box of fish coming out of the fish hole. At that time, those boxes held 300 pounds of fish, and they were loaded into railroad cars. This is the railroad dock, and the railroad dock was long enough to back out 3 box cars out onto the dock, and many times they loaded those box cars solid with fish. There'd be 2 men inside the box car. There'd be 2 men inside the box car stacking those 300-pound boxes of fish. And that's how all our product got to Fulton Fish Market. It was all by railroad. There's Captain Nat there running the donkey engine to hoist the fish out. This is how I got interested in trap fishing, because I've been on that boat in the late 40s. There you can see a picture of the railroad cars and more railroad, I guess they were passing cars in the background. There he is going back, goes out to his mooring. He always told, he had 3 trap sharpies. He had quite a gang of men working for him, because he had I don't know how many traps he had, but he had quite a few fish traps. Here's Leslie again with a hand pump, tinkering around, I guess. Yeah, there he goes. Engineering. Again, this is at the fishing village. Looks like a car in the background's kind of had trouble with his bumper. Looks like it's hanging in the hanging in the breeze. It's covered up, I see. I don't know who this gentleman is. I don't know what that boat is, whether it's a Coast Guard boat or not. Oh, this is boats coming in and out of the channel at Lake Montauk. This is in the late 30s. I remember those sand dunes are all gone. I don't know if that's Harold Steck's lobster boat or another man by the name of Kip. Small dragger. Here's another small boat coming in. I believe they're coming into Gosman's dock, or was Bonner Oil Company. Yes, that's Bonner's Oil Company's dock, just inside the breakwaters, now Gosman's. Here's another commercial boat coming in with they all had swordfish pulpits. Anything that floated, they'd put a swordfish pulpit on it. Because sometimes they'd get a swordfish 5-6 miles south of the point. I can't quite make out the name of it. Here's another one with a pulpit. Victor. I noticed the ladders that went up to the mast on that boat. Guy must have had a couple old ladders laying around, and he just stuck them up alongside the boat to get in the mast. This is, I don't know who this is. I don't know if, no, I don't know if it's me in that boat or not. Messing around. Might be Leslie and somebody else. Just fooling around in a boat. Us kids did a lot of this when we were growing up. Here's model airplanes that a lot of people flew model airplanes in those years, and they were all handmade out of balsa. They had little gasoline engines. They were controlled by wires.
Yeah.
Just 2. There was a handle with 2 wires, and that's how you flew it. And you held it, and you spun it around. I know Grandpa, he made some beautiful model planes and fooled with them in that way. There they are on the field, trying to get them going. They cracked up a lot of them. That's for sure. It was heartbreaking when they went, because you put so much work into them. Here's Fort Pond Bay again. No, this is the lake. This was a large bunch of sailboats moored in the lake. I can tell by the hills in the background. Some kind of regatta of some sort. Probably they were moored off the yacht club inside the lake. There's quite a bunch of them. All beautiful wooden boats, of course. They hadn't invented the fiberglass tree yet. No, all wood hulls. I saw a picture here of somewhere of a nice catboat. There she is right there. They were good sailors. Catboat. They were good for commercial fishing because you could troll with them. Yeah, this is at the yacht club. There's a small launch with a gang of people on. Even she's got a swordfish pulpit on the front. And I think they're outriggers, those two large light poles that are sticking up. I think they're outriggers for trolling. There's a picture back of my grandfather's garage. There's the Blue Marlin. Sorry, hold that one. I'll go back. Right on where you see the road, no? There, right there.
Okay.
There's a road that goes between the garage and the back of the Blue Marlin restaurant. Now, if you had that shot, you'd be looking at the parking lot for the fire department.
Yeah.
You know, totally different landscape. But I remember that very good. That's the road coming in there. That's the road between the hill and the railroad station. There's the railroad station. Now the fishing village was started right just north of the railroad tracks, right? I never knew that because I never saw the fishing village because I was too small and the Navy moved them out. You know, I have no memory of it whatsoever. So I'm delighted my grandfather took these films. There's the Blue Marlin restaurant. She wasn't a very big building either. It's a nice pickup truck. Somebody could tell the year of these films
by the cars.
By the cars, if they knew, you know. There they are coming in towards the railroad station. Here's the aftermath of the 38 hurricane, just a little bit. I don't know if the film got overexposed or whatever. This is the ferry dock and the excursion dock. The dock is still there. These are the people coming out to go on board the boats to go fishing. Because in the 30s, the 20s and 30s, they did charter boat. This is some more shots of that schooner named the Chase. I don't know if she's military or not. I didn't notice any flags, so I think it was a very, very spiffy private vessel, you know. She looks like one of those Grand Banks schooners. You can see all the boats moored in the background. You don't see any trees. Here's the steam train. Here we are back at my grandparents' home at the fishing village. My grandfather's house, the inside of it was framed with creosoted cross trees from the telegraph poles. You always had the light smell of creosote whenever you went in that house, because it was all framed out of creosote lumber. This is the railroad station again. I can only assume they must have just bought a new car, because they sure are showing it off, proud as a peacock here. This is another boat in Fort Pond Bay. Quite a few boats moored. It's not quite in focus, but 16mm camera work in the 1930s wasn't as spiffy as we are today, shall you say. Here's some scenes of the fishing village. There's the manor in the background. I think this is taken from the railroad dock. Here's another fishing boat. Yeah, that's taken from the railroad dock. Here we are back at the railroad station. The road was right tight to the railroad station to go into the fishing village, right there. I never knew. Here's my father in Amagansett, at Oak Lane, Amagansett. He must have had a excellent trapping season that year, because there's a lot of fox. It looks like a lot of fox skins on the clothesline. This was probably taken right at the beginning of the 1940s, 1941. I don't know. There's my father standing there with all the pelts. Looks like some raccoon pelts there. A lot of fox. Boy, he sure trapped a lot of furs that winter. My father was a fur trapper. Here he is with a handful of pelts. My father at the family homestead in Oak Lane, Amagansett. Here's my father again, and he's got a. I'm holding a mink pelt. My father also trapped a few mink during the course of the year. Here they are. Here's some cod fishermen. There's the tub trawls in the background. I don't know if this was at home or over at Poseyville. I'm not sure. There's a big fish there. Good sized codfish. That one person there, I believe, is Louis Lester. He's a commercial fisherman, still trying to do. Here's some pictures of my brother Billy and myself. This is when we lived on the hill across from Joe Wren's, up on the hill.
You're telling me that's where the highway is there,
That's
right?
where the highway goes right straight through here now. They moved the house down behind the hill into the woods. I think Arthur Roth bought it. In a second here you'll see Montauk Highway and how the road curved. There was a real sharp S curve here on Route 27 at that time. That's an old-fashioned sled that I wish I still had, a push sled. We're running down.
Yeah, we've got about a minute left.
All right. Right there, you can see how the highway curved. There was a sharp turn, and you notice the snow removal. The snow stayed on the road those days.
Yeah.
They didn't go cleaning everything up like they used to now. They used to do best they could. There's our dog, my father's dog Rex, American Water Spaniel. That's about it.
Yeah, I think that's about it, Stuart.
Yep.
Okay.
Most of this film I'd never seen until about a week ago. The only shot I remembered was driving down to the lighthouse. You know.